Naruto exclusive videos lemon come out on my boosty. You can watch and subscribe. Link in the description. Enjoy watching. Description: Naruto, with a system from the gamer world. Chapter 11. It was terrible. Danzo said quietly and tiredly. Yes, in vain we followed the lead of our old friends. The third Hokage responded in the same tone, tearing himself away from the report and covering his crystal ball with cloth. And you are good yourselves, there is no need to put all the blame on those two overcautious people. Shimuro added, making his friend choke on air. I didn't expect to hear that from you. Hiruzen answered honestly. I'm still paranoid, and I go overboard a lot, but that doesn't mean I can't admit my mistakes. The usual cold mask on Danzo's face cracked, revealing a bit of irony. Well, yes, especially since everyone else considers you an old goat. And what's offensive is that for some actions, even if they were done for the sake of the village, they are well deserved. But mistakes should be left in the past. What do you plan to do with the village's weapon, although what kind of weapon is it? I wouldn't even call him a shinobi larva. According to the test, all he knows about shinobi is that we exist. Shimura said discontentedly. Yes, it turned out awkward, they divided us for too long. And the clans too. I still need to understand. Why didn't they teach him anything at the shelter? It seems your agents overdid it with setting the population against him. And mine are watching. Half-heartedly. Sarutobi sighed. It's our own fault. We achieved a ring of alienation around him, and we have to clean up the mess. It's good that the guy took after his father, and it's a shame he didn't get cornea. He learned a lot from books himself. Another thing is that he couldn't get the books he needed, which is what the test revealed. He's well read, but in the wrong direction. We should brush up on his knowledge and skills, because even at the training grounds for the last month he has been looking more and more like some kind of fist fighter, which is how they love daimyo. What is it called? Boxing, I think? Danzo wrinkled his brow. It is not important now. What do you suggest regarding Naruto? The Hokage began to fill his pipe with tobacco. Assign 2 assistants to him, one from your side and one from mine. Let them train, help and develop him. And at the same time give him warmth. Danzo grinned dangerously, or maybe just crookedly. It was difficult to read the exact emotions on his face. It seems to me, or will it be a mistake to allow someone from the root, with your seals, to the young Uzumaki? His interlocutor said disapprovingly. I have one candidate. You know, my honey, Kunoichi have a relaxation on emotional blocks. I won't let whores near the 4th son. The third said menacingly. Listen to the end first, or is your youth playing up? So, their seals are weakened so that clients don't have complaints about the girls being excessively reserved. So, I have one person on whom the seals fit crookedly. Frankly, a copycat, if not for her abilities. So their communication will even benefit the village, if not only she gives him motherly warmth, but he also becomes her anchor. Danzo chuckled. Everything is for the benefit of the village, right? Well, I'll answer in kind. I think it's worth finding a single woman or girl in my ranks too. 1 mother is good, but 2 are better. Well, youth is definitely playing up. The Konohagakure's thunderstorm put his hand to his face. Although both admitted that they could only relax with each other, after all, old friends with common secrets. But for everyone else, they were enemies. And not only political ones. And one of them was almost a tyrant and a fanatic for the others. So such conversations were an outlet for both. By the way, I think it is worth throwing a bone to the clans. Let's say, we will turn a blind eye to the contacts of those who find the courage to get to him. Well, maybe he should not be allowed to see the Uchiha anyway, as well as the Hyuga. The Hokage supplemented the proposal. Under your responsibility. If it were up to me, I would put the seals of loyalty to all the heads of the village. Danzo, who was still not recovered from the last council, twitched his eye. Yes, the Uchiha gave us hell. But in some ways they are right, since even some supported them. And by the way, considering the simply fantastic bad luck of our future ward, it really is worth assigning someone to him. 2 clashes with enemy shinobi in less than a month. And that story with the drunks. It was certainly funny, but he really could have been killed. And what then? Neither the last Uzumaki, nor the legacy of the 4th, nothing at all will remain. Even our friends will not be able to dispute these arguments here. The drawn-out Hokage said seriously. That's true. By the way, did you read the report on his morning warm-up at the hospital? His interlocutor showed a bit of interest. I observed. I'll have to ask what kind of style this is. But it doesn't look like he's copying or remembering anyone. I hope he really is a genius on the level of his father, just untrained, but we shouldn't rule out influence from within either. Let's say it's too early to get nervous. I'll probably talk to him tomorrow. Hiruzen has decided everything for himself. That's reasonable. If I were you, I wouldn't wait until tomorrow, Shimura said in a different tone, making it clear that the serious conversation was over. If the young Jinchuriki knew what was waiting for him ahead, he would have preferred peace rather than receiving fun tasks from the system that were already awaiting him in connection with the new events. Chapter 12. The next morning, I was distracted from mastering the movements of the style by a knock on the door. I run up to it. Are the results ready already? And opening it, I see girls standing on the other side in the uniform of Chunin, or Jonin. I can't tell for sure. I only know that the vest means a rank higher than Genin. Can I come in? A young girl, almost a teenager, asked softly, standing out with long dark purple hair and somewhat pale skin. She reminds me of someone. So, what's in the name column? Oh, Yuzuki Yugao. The second one was a little younger. She preferred to remain silent, and only looked at me point blank with piercing light blue eyes. And here it's not even light blue, but a very bright blue, as if someone suddenly increased the brightness of the color scheme. Her hair is blue, gathered in a ponytail. The skin is much darker, no, not like that, rather even yellowish. And wear much more impressive than Yugao's. What do you need? I asked, trying to sound polite. Although, given the cold look, it is perceived as the kicking of a wolf cub. Oh, I got the skill on my head. And how long will Yugao's companion hypnotize me, who even has questions on her nameplate? We are here on the orders of the Hokage. Wow, so straight to the forehead, and what could I have done? And why? Did I do something wrong? He tried to say peacefully, even repeating the cannon's movement. Naruto scratched the back of his head. But the eyes spoil everything. Why aren't they in my active skills? I would just turn them off when I need to, but now I have to deal with misunderstandings. No, on the contrary, your tests amazed the Hokage. Now I hear such sarcasm in Yugao's voice that it's even a bit offensive. It seems they really did amaze him. But in a different sense, yes. So much so that you're being enrolled in Class A, and you have to live up to it. And we'll help you with that by temporarily becoming your after-school teachers. Well, it's almost true. Although, it's more likely that they'll actively pull me up to the level of that class. It's unclear again. It seems like a hairy paw is in play, but the feeling is ambiguous. No, Hiruzenga's theory is not confirmed, but I can hardly call him a kind old man either. In general, a completely ordinary person with his own values. Not quite right. We will not just be teachers, but full-fledged mentors. You were also given permission to move and allocated money to purchase a new apartment. From now on, we will live with you, engaged in your education, upbringing and improvement. A useful clarification, but stop staring at me already. Look away for at least a second. Nameless Kunoichi, class Undrambu Eni. I don't really know why under, but there is no doubt that she is from the root. Got it, come in. I guess. And what will you teach me? Childish impatience turned out surprisingly easy. Well, my age definitely cut me off. Not to the level of the body, but I now act about 12 years old, with breakthroughs like up to 16, or even 18 years old, and periodic lapses to the level of the body. Yeah, and Naruto's consciousness. Everything, from calligraphy to various techniques. Yugao calmly answered, looking around with interest. So now you will go with me and will watch and remember how to buy real estate. Watch carefully, because after that I will ask you about what you understood from my actions. Well, this person from the root has little emotion, which was to be expected. It's surprising that there are any at all. And here it is surprisingly clean. Ignoring her partner, said Yuzuki. And with her, I even got a whole percentage, and then the system howled, well, what again? A new task has been received. Practice is our everything. Before the goddess, it is necessary to practice on mere mortals. So why not try to solve a difficult problem in which age is involved? What about a love triangle? And the teacher-student situation? High difficulty will help you. Get your hand in on impossible tasks, and not lose face in front of Kagaya herself. Time, make it to the end of the academy. Reward, 2 girls loyal to you, the ability to learn information about the actions of the 2 big shots. Variable. Bonus for achieving all 5 hearts by both, the point will be saved, and the next restart in case of failure of the main mission will return you to the moment of graduation from the academy with the original data. Penalty for failure/refusal. Deterioration of relations with the entire female population of Kanahegakure. Receiving the status of no one will ever give it to me in this village. A failed practice will lead to global problems in the main quest. Death. Accept? Yes/no. Well, where is the choice here? In general, unfair. Well, what do I care about this couple, if even by the end of the academy my body will not reach the desired level of relations? Here you need to wait at least until you turn 15. That is, add another 3 years after the academy. But how tempting is it to get a checkpoint on your 12th birthday? Very tempting. Although I'm not a fan of old women, they'll be in their 20s when I'm just turning 16. Oh well, I'll take it. It's just a bummer. Thanks, and be careful. I decided to warn you, Gao, but I was too late. I was lost in thought for too long. Crunch! Her foot sank into the floor. The floors here are SOSO in a couple of places. They hold a child calmly, but an adult, and even one loaded with ammunition. I spread my hands in apology. Oh, how Yuzuki just burst out with anger. No one has ever looked at me like that before. However, she wasn't looking at me either, and most likely, she wasn't angry at me. Only the little demon reacted on instinct. No, honestly on instinct. Jumping back further and getting into a semblance of a fighting stance. What's wrong with you? Although both of them noticed my actions, the indifferent nameless one asked first. And what should I say? That I don't trust them so much that I'm ready to accept an unequal fight over an extra rustle? And how should I build something with them then? What if I do the opposite? It's not me, but life? I've lived to see this, and I'm already cynically thinking about how to take an extra couple of % of sympathy from 2 girls I essentially don't know. Excuse me, did I do something to you? I asked Yugao, who doesn't understand anything. Carefully. No, why did you decide that? She seems to answer me warmly, but there's only interest in her eyes. There's zero warmth. Adults usually make such faces before yelling, or even hitting. Oh, I'm going too far yelling. Yes, it happened, but it only came to assault a few times over all these years, and even then once, back in the orphanage, almost for good reason. Well, to be more precise, it would have been quite possible to limit ourselves to a curse word, but considering the attitude towards me, we went a bit further, but I created the situation itself, you can't argue with that. No, I was angry at the carpenters, yes, at the carpenters. Yugao answered. Yes, a whole %. Yes, I am a genius. Just somehow one-sided. So, what about the Quasiumbu? I somehow completely forgot about her. At least 0.5% during all this time. What? What other 19%? Where from? Even 3% higher than the mother of twins, whose daughters I, just for a minute, saved. This lady is definitely that, and a lot. Yuzuki, don't leave me alone with her, now let's go. This person declared, considering the situation exhausted. And choosing a new home is the most important task. System for what? Was it really impossible to give a really normal task? Is that too much to ask? A new task has been received. Saving an endangered species. You have a chance to influence the canon. What could be better? Maybe. If the entire clan is in your debt. Well, or a small part of it, the smallest. The goal: to save Saya and Aya Uchiha. Subgoal: save Maya Uchiha. Side goal: save as many Uchiha as possible. Reward event: set Itachi's brain straight. Time left until event: 401 days. 17 hours 42 minutes and 37 seconds. Reward: variable. Penalty for refusal/failure: no, but would you allow some kind of murder of those who are already almost yours? Accept? Yes/no. The system, thank you. Whatever turned in your cogs, just thank you. Now I have a deadline, and it already looks more or less realistic. It is still possible to get going in a year or so, but you will have to work hard. Now I am even grateful to a couple of schemers for these two ladies, if they really teach me shinobi techniques well. Chapter 13. I don't know how to describe it. Even though my companion was a half-buddy, she haggled like a beast. So there was still a good half of the funds allocated to me left. Okay, a third, considering that I became the happy owner of an apartment with 2 rooms and in a much more prosperous area. And the apartment itself, at first glance, was good. And after the purchase, she really gave me a crash test, running me through everything I saw and heard, with an analysis of my assumptions. Are they preparing me to be a traitor? Although, I must admit, my eloquence jumped sharply after such a lesson, as did my relationship with this person who introduced herself as Tsuru. Yeah, Tool is a good name. Only it's not in the name column. Maybe I should try starting with something I once translated? A personal name just for the two of us. In theory it brings us closer, and given her oddities, it will even be considered a full-fledged event. Can I call you Hitomi? That's the name they give to those with beautiful eyes. Come on, react? Why? She asked without even breaking stride. -2%? I don't get it? That name would suit you, and it sounds nice and is easy to remember. I pretended to be stupid. Okay. And that's it. 0 reaction. We continued on our way in silence. Well, and then there was the move and a visit to the shops with both nannies. You can't say otherwise. Well, at least no one overcharged me or interfered with my shopping in any way. It seems that the vests of this couple impressed the merchants. I hope it was impressive enough that, the next time I came without them, I would also get a normal price. I really hope so. Here, at the market, I was amused by Yugao's reaction. If Hitomi haggled divinely, and chose products well, I also demonstrated myself as a diligent student, and I myself knew some things, and even got Hitomi to buy rare potatoes. Here I'll surprise them with dinner, but Yugao was completely lost. I wonder how she even lived before? Did she eat dry rations? Then we somehow carried this home. That's really somehow. Just to better understand, the strength parameter is already quite difficult for me to pump up, and here for the way back I received a unit of strength. That is, as for half a day of training. The refrigerator was filled to the brim. Yeah, a refrigerator. Still, this is a bizarre world. Like if you look, they fight with cold weapons. Some things, like gunpowder, have never heard of, and if they have heard, they do not attach the same importance as in my past world. However, the same radios, refrigerators, all this is a delirious world. Which I realized a long time ago, but sometimes it rolls over, like now. Afterwards, I kicked the girls out of the kitchen, saying that I would cook something myself. The grown-up ladies didn't argue, but they looked at me in such a way that I almost lost faith in my own culinary abilities. But then it was so funny to watch their expressions. Well, to be more precise, to Yuzuki's surprise, Hitomi just froze at the sight of the table with food. And I got a +2%. Then after the first try, and again, when I was already washing the dishes myself. However, Yugao also got 1%, but after the whole meal, and I have strong doubts that I can achieve anything just with such moments. Firstly, this is still a novelty for them. Later it will become a habit, and I will stop getting anything dripped. After all, something familiar will not cause such an emotional response. And secondly, gradation. I am almost sure that if you can still save up for the first heart, then the subsequent ones will need to be increased by other methods. Then Yugao read me the theory of chakra. Suddenly, somehow I still can't comprehend that they were actually going to teach me seriously, and then I was released. That's all for today. It seemed like the first day was an introductory one, but then they promised to load me up with everything. And then, when I was already happily heading for the door, intending to ask to visit Kiba again, and having explained this to Hitomi, she really took on the role of an older relative. Anyway, when I opened the door, I found Saya and her sister calmly waiting for me outside. God, it looks like this is going to be a long day. What added special piquancy to the moment was that I simply can't have fun with them normally. I feel like a hypocrite, having fun with those who will simply not exist in a little over a year. Somehow it's wrong. And if by the end of the day I still get the hypocrite skill, I won't be surprised. Chapter 14. I stand in front of my homemade training dummy. A couple of breaths and my mind is free. Habitual, flying steps forward, and the previously calm chi seems to explode. 6 attacks, 2 of which I already delivered to the flying fragments of the wooden dummy. I wince slightly, I miscalculated again. I wince again, the move is too powerful, one of the blows damaged my hand. I need to work more with chi, and distribute it evenly. I feel my mother approaching. Yes, it's already dawn. I got too carried away with training. I can go to the field. I don't need food that much. It's better for my father and mother to eat more, and I will start cultivating our plot. Chi is like blood, the strength and soul of our world. It is everywhere and in everything. And as long as I am in harmony with the world, I do not need base food. With a bit of sadness, I look at the worn and long-faded qipao on me and the same pants. All this was passed down to me from my father, but the sizes do not match. His figure was much larger at my age. I need to earn money, go to the neighboring province? It seems like something is brewing there. I don't care much, but my parents gave me a lot. Can I really improve their lives? I can, and I will. Although I am satisfied with what I have, and even these clothes, imbued with the love and care of my father, who saved them for his son, and my mother, who darned them after my unsuccessful training, I will not exchange for anything else. Even all the treasures of the world pale in comparison to this qipao that is too big. But enough of thinking, I will go help my mother and immediately go to the field. I wake up with a jerk, ignoring the system messages about sleeping on the bed and restoring everything. What a strange dream. I wonder what it was. These are definitely not my memories, especially considering that old house with a straw roof made of them. You won't even find such ones in the village. These memories also had nothing to do with this world, I felt it. Then what the hell was that? Okay, I'll think about it later, but for now I need to practice. I get up and start doing exercises, easily and naturally immersing myself in the perception of the world that this style gives me. Even too easily, and the movements are somehow too smooth, like in that dream, when an unknown person approached a wooden doll to practice punches. I feel like someone has broken the harmony and is looking at me, because of which I get tangled up in my legs and fall, finally. And I look in surprise at 3 messages in a row about increasing agility by 1, at the same time feeling how my muscles gradually retreat. It was painful. It seems that my body is not ready for such a pure style, but how quickly it raised my agility. Dance like this for half an hour, and look, I'll take 10, and I'll be recovering all day. Okay, and now a mini scene in the style of I just now noticed the observer. Itata. I start to get up and look around at the same time, noticing Yuzuki. Yugao-san, did you want something? I ask politely. To invite you to training, but I can already see this is unnecessary. Where did you learn such movements? She leaned forward barely noticeably. No, I will not make far-reaching conclusions yet on the topic of what caused such interest. It may well be a professional desire, and not part of the assignment of one of the reigning old men. You will not believe it, Yugao-san, I dream of them. And I did not lie, Specifically today, I dreamed of something more perfect than what I am trying to depict here. By the way, falling into the incomplete style of one weirdo will fit in well, and then guess, am I being modest and doing everything from scratch, or am I really dreaming something, with such a neighbor? There is nothing to be afraid of. I can always jump into the noose. Ahem, I see, she drawled. Okay, then run to wash up, and in the meantime I will cook breakfast. I clearly felt the doubt in the second part of her sentence. I'm afraid I'll have to wash up quickly, and then rush to cook. It seems that she really hasn't done anything more complicated than brewing ramen for a long time. And this is ANBU. Help. And everything turned out as I thought. When I went into the kitchen, there was a burning smell, and Yugao was standing in front of the refrigerator, wondering what to take from there. Judging by the fact that its contents did not decrease much, she did not have time to screw up much. Pushing aside the embarrassed girl, well, yes, it's kind of offensive when a child cooks better than you, I got down to business myself. Simultaneously communicating with this bastard of products. Yes, if I had wasted food like that, I would have died of hunger in the first week. And somehow imperceptibly, she got everything out of me according to my method. In what cases it is used, why such movements, what it is designed for, and so on. Well, considering that I answered everything, this can no longer be squeezed into the framework of a dream. But the understanding came to me even when I acquired the prize status, and today it has sharply deepened, so it really looked like I was developing this style. And a couple of questions with the answer to which I hesitated could be attributed to shortcomings. Well, now no one will believe the version of the dream if Yugao reflects this in the report. And yes, she really is an expert to extract information from me like that. Wait. When I was about to start eating, Hitomi appeared in the doorway and stopped me. What do you all want from me? You need to eat 4 to 5 times a day for the body to grow properly. They told me softly, putting the food from my plate into the bento box where I had put what I would eat for lunch. Then she took another box out of the kitchen cabinet and divided the food into 2 portions. A light breakfast, 2 meals at the academy, and another at home afterwards. She explained. What about Yugao-san? And yes, good morning, Hitomi-san. And the smile of Canon Naruto. She can take care of herself. Hitomi answered calmly and coldly, resigned to the name. Stop. The academy? I was surprised. They haven't brought me anything yet. I don't even know if I've been accepted. We came yesterday with the information. Remember, Naruto, I told you that you were enrolled in Class A. Yugao sighed from her seat. I somehow missed this moment with all the impressions. Well, at least I'll fit into the image of a fool perfectly. Exactly. That's why you're here. Don't classes start later? I remembered something like that. Later. And today there will be the Hokage's speech, an introduction to the teacher and classmates, and several introductory lectures. Everyone must come to the Hokage's speech with their parents or guardians, so if you don't mind, then we'll go with you. Yuzuki began to explain, but was interrupted by Hitomi. Then I'll go with you. It seems like an understatement, but something doesn't feel right to me. I think, Suru didn't even interrupt Yugao this time, but the look she gave her, briefly stopping looking at me, was enough to make Yuzuki choke. Horror! I don't mind. So we're going now, Hitomi-san? I ask, pretending to be a fool. Forgive me, Yugao, but I'd rather follow the example of the rats and escape from the sinking ship. My instinct for self-preservation hints at this. Stop. Let me change my mind. Why the hell did this Tsuru Hitomi's percentage jump to 85? In fact, this is already the event completion zone, that is, only her response remains. Fuck me. No, a little later, first a calligraphy lesson. Yugao said somehow even vindicatively. It seems she already knows that I'm a complete zero in this. Or revenge not to me was it intended? A new task has been received. Complete the entire calligraphy course in a year, demonstrating your diligence and perseverance to Yuzuki-sensei, and gain her sympathy. Reward, sympathy of an Umbu representative and just a nice girl, isn't that enough? Penalty for refusal/failure, chance of not having time to finish capturing a target during your time at the academy. Relationship decrease by 10%. Relationship increase with Tsuru/Hitomi by 15%. Accept? Yes/no. That last point scares me a bit. Of course, yes. Otherwise, I'm afraid that some maniac will stalk me, and Yugao won't even itch. Yeah, but at least let her itch. Chapter 15. Before the ceremony, I managed to chat a little with Kiba, Ino, and Saya and Aya. Hitomi had almost no contact with the adults, unlike everyone else, where even the orphans' caregivers huddled together in their own groups. Surprisingly, Sakura came up to say hello to me, and then, having gathered her courage, one kawaii lump on legs Hanabi, while Hinata only had enough for a couple of words with Kiba, and she didn't pay much attention to the others. Well, Kanon waved his hand, but not completely. Somehow it turned out that during the ceremony, everyone seemed to stand in their designated places, clan members closer to the Hokage who was giving a speech, non-clan members mixed in behind them. Well, and Hitomi and I were off to the side. And something bothered me about the third strange look and Danzo's satisfied expression in our direction. True, you can't tell from Shimura that he's happy, but I can feel it in my gut and that's it. Heh, I suspect that from the outside we looked like mother and son. Me, pressed against her legs with my back, and she, with her hands down and clasped on my chest, as if fencing and protecting me from everyone. What's even funnier is that I even caught myself thinking that standing like this is pretty good. Apparently, in this life I really did lack a family, or at least moments like this at least sometimes. I know that she's with me on an errand, but still. Thank you? I finished the thought, raising my head and expressing the last part of it out loud. Suddenly. The first heart is ready, the image in my memory is of us in the current pose, but from the side. However, he could have guessed himself that a kiss on the cheek from peers is normal, and here the first moments will most likely be maternal, at least for this person. But I don't really want to go further. Thank you too. Lowering her head and hiding it with a shock of hair, she answered, and, am I hallucinating or did this emotionless person smile? Then everything is pretty bland. Iruka was appointed our homeroom teacher. He led us to the classroom, told us a little about himself and the academy, and that's basically it. Oh, right, there was also an excursion, but we chatted with Kiba, managing to sneak into the crowd so successfully that both my friends and his fan lost us. However, in the classroom we also settled down at the back desk, clearly staking out our claim. But the girls were carried away by a wave of girlfriends. Well, except for Hinata. But she didn't dare sit next to Kiba, and also settled down at the last desk. Only if we were by the window, then she was by the one closest to the wall, 3 rows away from us. Well, after all this, we were sent home, although Hitomi intercepted me at the exit. Did she even leave the academy courtyard? It's quite possible that she didn't. And then hell began. Upset by the morning failure, Yugao dumped the theoretical part of the training on Hitomi, and she herself took care of me after, the practical part, as a much stronger fighter in this pair. Stretching, push-ups, and much more. But especially stretching. According to her, a good shinobi should bend in all directions in order to dodge attacks and throws of the enemy's weapons. And the basics need to be hammered into me at my age. More precisely, even earlier, and now I still have to catch up. In addition, in her opinion and from what she understood and saw, my style also requires stretching. And in general, for someone who cannot compete with an opponent in strength and speed, and this is the case with young shinobi, you need to rely on agility and flexibility. So I had a real hell, and by early evening I could only walk with my legs spread even with the treatment from Hitomi, who was looking at Yugao with displeasure. And by the end of the training I could not walk at all, and I was dragged from the training ground to the house by Hitomi. Who else? After the treatment she did not leave, deciding to watch the training until the end. Damn. It feels like if not a mother she was not old enough for that, then I definitely got an older sister. I met the next morning healthy, sincerely glad for the system with its removal of negative effects after sleep. And after the usual classes with my style, even refreshed, but with the return muscle pain. And I didn't really get enough sleep. Maybe that's why the negative effects didn't completely wear off. Who knows about this system? By the way, the night pleased me with new visions. But this time, nothing remarkable. Work in the field, although I think this skill will come in handy for me, being a genin, a conversation with my parents and setting off on a journey to another province to earn money. This time, Hitomi woke up early, so the three of us had breakfast, and after that, the same, older sister, took me to the academy. And so, at the academy, ignoring everything and everyone, I made my way to my seat, and literally collapsed in the center of the bench. A couple of minutes later, Kiba landed next to me, in the same state. "What's wrong?" I asked languidly. "Mother took on training, since I'm now at the academy," he answered just as languidly. Realizing that he was not only a friend, but also a fellow sufferer, I put my hand on his shoulder. He, at first surprised, peeled himself away from the desk and stared at me, reading everything in my eyes, repeated the gesture. The bonds of true friends became even stronger, plus 200 reputation with Inuzuka Kiba. And then we simultaneously dropped our heads on the desk. About 5 minutes later, Shikamaru entered the office, and after looking around the audience, he froze with his gaze on our desk, clearly seeing us as his brothers, and the seat by the window was still free. And the seat by the window, and on the last desk, is too tasty a morsel for any lazy person. Later I will move there myself, but now I am too lazy to even move. The squad is complete. Now, thanks to the family state and the feeling of affinity, you will be awarded reputation from Naruto Shikamaru and Inuzuka Kiba. At first I didn't understand, but after 5 minutes of all three of them lying on the desk, I got plus 10 reputation from Shikamaru, and plus 1 from Kiba. Well, yes, Kiba is more pumped up and it is harder to raise reputation with him than just from the feeling of solidarity of an immensely tired brother. That's how my studies at the academy began. Chapter 16. And yet, the most epic was Sasuke's appearance in the classroom. He was the last one to arrive, barely dragging his feet, and having crawled to the last desk slightly to the right of us, literally collapsed onto the empty seat. It seems that my template was torn with a bang. "Hey, what's wrong?" Kiba, creaking his desk disgustingly, turned his face right on it in Sasuke's direction. "My brother agreed to train me." Trained, he condescended to answer and didn't even notice that. It's both funny and a sin, remembering how he ran after his brother in canon and was refused. And here he decided to agree once. Apparently, he found the time. It seems ironic and I should laugh, but I have no strength, and a certain solidarity of a martyr does not allow me to do it. "Got it," Kiba and I said in chorus and again returned to the starting position. Received plus 350 reputation with Uchiha Sasuke. The system notified me. It seems that I was not the only one who felt the affinity of the martyrs. And then there was roll call and, like, an introduction to the class, but it passed my consciousness. I can't even remember if they called me? View from the outside. The next to Kimichi Choji. Irika-sensei continued. "I am Choji. I love delicious food and my mother. I don't like an active lifestyle." The large boy jumped up. His last words were followed by a strange reaction. 3 pairs of hands shot up from the last row by the window and began to applaud. Considering that the owners of these limbs themselves did not deign to detach themselves from the desk, it looked strange even in the opinion of Irika, who had seen a lot. "Okay, sit down, Choji. Next is Yamanaka Ino." Irika sighed, already realizing that he had inherited a difficult generation. "Hello," the blonde smiled cheerfully and kindly, as if to the whole class, literally winning the children over. "I am Yamanaka Ino. I love and appreciate my parents and clan, and one person. I don't like 2 noisy companies, drunks and 2 persons." "Everything seems fine," Irika noted, but what did the 2 Uchiha twins do to her, that she looked at them so menacingly? And who does she love? The gaze went to the last desk by the window. Not an Uchiha. Sasuke, that's already surprising. Could she really be interested in the descendant of lazy people? No, it's unlikely, you have to be a masochist, which this girl doesn't seem like, to fall in love with something like that. Then the Inuzuka heir? Well, not a little demon, right? Or maybe? I need to report to the Hokage. When the Uchiha sisters appeared further down the list, Iruka wanted to clutch his heart. The speech of both resembled that of the young Yamanaka, except that it was not so friendly to others, and they did not like kidnappers, arrogant people, and one person, while vengefully glancing at Ino. But positive feelings again for one person at the last desk strained Iruka. Urgently to the Hokage. Urgently. The heiress of the Hyuga calmed Iruka down a little. A shy, modest girl, clearly feeling something for the Inuzuka heir. Now, everything is within the norm here. And not the horror that was the previous 3 times. But it gets worse. Next is Naruto Shikamaru. I am Shikamaru, and I am lazy, the heir of the Sloth clan said without tearing himself away from his desk. This was within expectations. Next, Inuzuka Kiba. Iruka prepared himself for the speech of the representative of one of the most hyperactive clans. I am Kiba, I am dying. A sluggish voice came from the other side. Okay, we'll survive, Iruka thought. The next Uzumaki Naruto, Sensei said, massaging his temples and still not having recovered from his previous answer. I am Naruto, and I was beaten. The little demon responded in a tone as if speaking in a dream. What him? Beaten? What else could you expect from this creature? Certainly not normal manners. Oh, okay, then, next is Uchiha Sasuke. Well, now the line of lazy people will finally end. Uchiha rose heavily, to applause from the next desk, and began to speak wearily. I am Uchiha Sasuke, I love my family, I value my clan, I want to sleep. And on this strange note he collapsed into place. What's wrong with this set? Iruka wanted to howl, rage and throw, but he had to calm down and conduct the classes. Attempts to knock down the snoring individuals were unsuccessful. It was impossible to knock down the Uchiha. His clan might not let him go. Shikamaru answered all the questions lazily and calmly. The little demon also answered indifferently, albeit in his own words, but he clearly knew the material. Young Inuzuka was dodging the first 2, and obviously answered based on prompts, but my hearing is not that sharp, and I was further away, so formally he got out of it too. And so, when I almost calmed down, the lunch break began, and 3 individuals headed towards one blonde, with a very obvious goal. In the same place, a little later. So what was that? Still not fully opening my eyes, I say. The same question. They should be happy they will get more. Kiba supported me, looking after the departing Sae, Ae and Ino. I would explain, but it is so stressful. Shikamaru spoke up. And this is how it happened, unexpectedly, waking me up. 3 bento boxes fell on my side of the desk at the same time. The girls put the question clearly choose. And they even started arguing with each other. Not fully awake and not wanting to listen to the buzzing in my ear, I answered that I had my own and demonstrated by offering the girls to refresh themselves. It seems that they misunderstood me, but I understand this now, and not then, practically in a dream. And there was no other way out anyway, except that it was necessary to present everything more gently. After all, if I had only taken the twins' food, I would have offended Ino, and I did not want to offend her, and if I had taken her food, I still wanted to live. Even the system rated this cooking as first-class poison. But it should have been softer, yes. Oh, I'm such an oak. Received a new status. I am an oak. I am an oak. Everything is not as scary as it could be, but not as rosy as I would like. Let it be that, according to the assurances of many heroes of romantic comedies, being an oak is useful. However, in this world it really is useful. Affinity with Mokutan plus 50%. The element of lightning is blocked. Affinity with fire minus 20%. The Senju see you as either a relative or a tree. The probability of getting into a sticky situation is plus 2%. You're fucking kidding me. Although, to get such an affinity with the element of wood, do they really judge me as a tree?